Hello, y'all, and welcome back. So we're asking the question, when you know that something is wrong, why do you do it anyway? And the first view that we're going to look at is a curious one because it's simultaneously endorsed by most people, which are what we might call the man on the street, and by possibly the greatest thinker, ethical thinker of all time, and that is Plato. Plato usually disagrees with most people. He usually says, well, most people think X, but I think Y. But in this case, Plato is very clear that he agrees with what he calls the many, hoi polloi, in holding his theory of weakness of will. Now, knowing what we know about Plato, we can already kind of see where he's going with this. And what it is that we know about Plato is that he divides the human soul into three parts. There's reason, which thinks, plans, and calculates. There's spirit, which feels, beauty, emotion, and moral feeling. And there's appetite, which desires food, drink, sex, and related pleasures. So clearly, Plato's theory is going to have something to do with the interaction of these parts of the soul. And in fact, it does. Plato says, look, reason is opposed at various times by either appetite or by spirit. Now, usually it's opposed by appetite, and in a healthy and well-functioning soul, first of all, appetite doesn't oppose it that much, but also spirit, when appetite does oppose reason, comes to the aid of reason. But we're not talking about a healthy and well-functioning soul here. We're talking about a weak-willed soul. We're talking about somebody like myself, or perhaps like you, who sometimes has the experience of knowing the right thing and still doing the wrong thing. So what goes on inside the souls of those people? Well, for the purposes of this illustration, I'm going to kind of lump appetite and spirit together into one kind of big soul part, which I'll call passion. So just you should be understood that for Plato there's no single part called passion, but it's just it's my way of saying kind of elliptically either reason or spirit, depending on which part of the soul is opposing, either appetite or spirit rather, depending on which part of the soul is opposing reason at that time. So that's what I mean by passion. And Plato says here's how it works. Here's the breakdown of weakness of will. We start with whatever the wrong thing is. We'll just call it. So think of whatever the bad deed that you're most tempted to, that you most often do, knowing that it's wrong. We'll just call that it. So reason knows that it's wrong. That's step one. Step one, reason knows it is wrong. Step two, passion wants it. Passion desires it. Passion says, I have to have it right now. Give it to me. Step three, we have a conflict. Reason and passion conflict. Bam, they go up against each other. Okay, there's a struggle. Well, you already know how this is going to end, because in a poorly functioning soul, reason does not have the aid of spirit in the struggle against appetite, and sometimes it struggles against spirit itself, and reason is not known for its raw power, so reason is going to be overpowered. So step four is passion overpowers reason. Passion pushes reason to the ground, says, shut up, nerd. And reason, step five, has to watch while appetite or spirit, passion, does the wrong thing. In other words, you watch while you do the wrong thing. One part of your soul, knowing that it's wrong, has to watch while you do the wrong thing. Here's the kicker, knowing the whole time that it's wrong. So let's go through those steps again. Number one, reason knows it's wrong. Step two, passion desires it. Step three, passion and reason conflict. Step four, passion wins out. And step five, you do it, whatever it is, knowing the whole time that it is wrong. That's a crucial element of this theory. You know the entire time you're doing it that it is wrong. This is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. My God, why am I doing this? It's Plato's view. It's Plato's theory. Now, this has perhaps the greatest ethical thinker of all time on its side. This view does. And it also has most people, the person on the street, on its side, which means that it has kind of common sense and high-level ethical thought on its side. So it's only with fear and trembling, etc., that we go against a view like this. But this view is not without its weaknesses, and here's one of them. When you act out of passion, a storm of emotion or lust or feeling or desire, this is not the time in your life when you are thinking the most clearly. I think we can all agree to that. You're not thinking particularly clearly in these moments. As a matter of fact, in many cases, if after the fact somebody says to you, what in God's name were you thinking when you did that? We might well answer what? I wasn't thinking. I wasn't thinking at all. I just, seemed like a good idea at the time. I just did it. Okay? Now, where's the problem? Well, here's the problem. On Plato's view, on this view, not only are you thinking clearly, but you are thinking, you have right there in the front of your mind, in your reason, right here in your head, the mind part, you're thinking, this is wrong. So you know that it's wrong the entire time that you're doing it. So you're thinking sufficiently clearly to be thinking the entire time that you're doing it, this is wrong. That's a fairly high level of clear thought. And yet that seems not to be an accurate description of what happens when we do, in fact, act out of passion. Maybe occasionally, but most of the time when we act out of passion, we're either not thinking clearly or we're not thinking at all. So one possible weakness of Plato's view here, and I won't get into others, but one possible weakness of Plato's view is it seems not to be an adequate description of what actually is going on when we act out of passion. It seems possibly, to describe that in a poor way. Now, not to say that you can't respond to this. We don't have the time in this module for the full dialogue over this, but I'm going to ask you your opinion. But if you are inclined to have concerns about Plato's view, you might be inclined to accept the alternative view, and that is the view of Socrates and the Stoics, and it is to that view we turn in the next video. Thanks.